Imagine this. A close friend who used to finish your sentences now answers in one-word texts. A coworker who praised your ideas yesterday subtly undermines you in a meeting today. The room feels colder, and you replay every interaction, searching for the error you cannot find. That confusion, this quiet, gnawing self-doubt, is one of the most familiar pains the human heart knows. The first impulse is understandable. Assume you must have done something wrong. We learn early to read other people as mirrors of our worth. But sometimes the mirror is lying. The hostility you face may have almost nothing to do with your behavior, and almost everything to do with what your presence awakens inside someone else. Carl Jung named the hidden landscape that explains this. The shadow. The shadow is not a moral judgment. It is the cluster of qualities a person has rejected, the neglected wounds, the impulses and vulnerabilities kept out of sight. It lives beneath conscious awareness, shaping perception and reaction without permission. When another person sees in you a trait they have buried, confidence they fear, freedom they secretly crave, kindness they were taught to disdain, they do not see you clearly. They see their own unresolved part reflected back, and that reflection can feel intolerable. This understanding does not excuse cruelty or soften every painful cut, but it offers a different lens, one that separates your value from another's projection. You were not necessarily the cause of their collapse. You may have simply become the mirror. Next, we'll step deeper into Jung's shadow, how projection works, and why being seen can feel like being attacked. Jung once wrote, "Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is." To understand why others may turn cold toward you, you must first understand this shadow, the hidden twin of the ego. The ego is the story we tell about who we are. It's the curated image, polite, capable, moral, composed. But everything that doesn't fit that story, envy, weakness, pride, desire, shame, is quietly pushed underground. We convince ourselves those qualities don't exist within us. Yet the psyche does not erase what it represses. It simply hides it. And what is hidden always seeks a way out. That's where projection begins. The traits we refuse to acknowledge in ourselves don't disappear. They find new life in other people. We start to see our own disowned parts in them, and we react as though the threat lives outside of us. A confident coworker stirs your insecurity. A calm friend makes you restless. Someone's kindness reminds you of how unkind you've been. And before you know it, judgment forms. The mind whispers, "They're arrogant, they're fake, they're too much." But what if those reactions are not insights about them, but confessions about us? Jung believed that projection is the mind's defense against self-recognition. When we cannot bear to see our own darkness, we paint it onto another canvas. The person before us becomes a screen for the movie we refuse to watch within. This is why rejection can feel so irrational, so sudden, so personal, because you've become the carrier of someone else's unclaimed truth. They are not seeing you. They are seeing themselves, the parts they've banished, the feelings they can't integrate, the light they cannot yet own. And this is where things turn quietly tragic. The closer you stand to their shadow, the more they will need to step away. Next, we'll explore how this projection unfolds in real relationships, when admiration curdles into resentment, and connection becomes a threat. Authenticity sounds beautiful in theory. We admire it in quotes and preach it in self-help language, but in practice, authenticity is profoundly unsettling. Not just for the person who dares to live it, but for everyone who witnesses it. To be authentic means to live in alignment with your inner truth, to speak what feels real, to act from conviction rather than approval, and to refuse the comfort of pretending. It is not rebellion for its own sake, it is congruence. But when you begin to live this way, you inevitably become a mirror that others did not ask for, because authenticity exposes illusion. Most people spend their lives constructing masks, identities built on acceptance, compliance, or control. The colleague who always agrees, the friend who never says no, the child who became the peacemaker to survive chaos. These masks are not lies. They are survival strategies. Yet when someone stands before them without one, it shakes the foundation. Your honesty whispers what their silence cannot. This is who you might have been if you were free. That's why authenticity often draws hostility. It awakens envy in those who have traded truth for belonging. It threatens the delicate order of families and workplaces that rely on unspoken rules, where conformity keeps peace and silence keeps love intact. The authentic person unknowingly becomes a destabilizer, not through confrontation, but through contrast. In Jungian terms, authenticity reclaims the shadow. It brings what was hidden into light. But for those still clinging to the mask, that light feels like exposure. They defend, withdraw, criticize, not to harm you, but to protect their illusion. And so, authenticity carries a quiet cost: emotional isolation. The more you live in truth, the fewer people will stand comfortably beside you. Yet this solitude is not punishment, it's purification. Because to live authentically is to choose wholeness over approval, truth over peace. Next, we'll explore why the journey toward that wholeness, toward owning both light and shadow, is the only path to genuine connection. Every human relationship, no matter how loving, carries an invisible balance of power. Not power in the obvious sense, not control, authority, or status, but emotional leverage. It's the subtle currency of who needs whom more, who seeks approval, who adjusts, who forgives first. When harmony depends on one person staying smaller so another can feel secure, love becomes a quiet negotiation for control. This is why hostility often appears when you begin to grow. Personal evolution, success, independence, boundary setting shifts the hidden hierarchy. The roles that once felt safe begin to blur. The compliant child becomes assertive. The agreeable friend starts saying no. The overlooked coworker suddenly excels. These changes rewrite the unspoken script others were comfortable with, and not everyone welcomes the new version of you, because your growth threatens their equilibrium. When you no longer bend to emotional manipulation, validation seeking, or guilt, they lose leverage, and they experience that loss as betrayal. To preserve their sense of dominance, they often reframe your self-respect as arrogance, your independence as coldness, your clarity as cruelty. It's not that they hate you, they hate their reduced power over you. Jung suggested that much of human conflict stems from the ego's resistance to transformation. When one person evolves, it forces everyone around them to confront stagnation. Your change becomes a mirror of their inertia. They call it distance, they call it attitude, but what they mean is, you stopped obeying. This is the silent battle for power, one waged not with words, but with energy, tone, and withdrawal. You'll feel it in the way someone's warmth fades after you stop people-pleasing, or in the subtle disapproval that follows your success. Recognizing this doesn't make the pain vanish, but it restores perspective. You're not being punished for growing. You're witnessing who was invested in your limitation. Next, we'll move into the heart of this transformation: how to remain compassionate without shrinking, and powerful without turning cold. In the end, it all returns to the mirror. Every emotion we project outward, love, envy, admiration, or hatred, is first born within. Jung understood this with haunting clarity. We do not see others as they are. We see them as we are. The colleague whose confidence irritates you, the friend whose freedom unsettles you, the stranger whose presence captivates you. Each is a reflection of something unrecognized inside you. Admiration is the soul's quiet way of saying, "This too belongs to you." Hatred whispers the same message, only in reverse. "This too lies hidden in you." The mirror effect is not poetic metaphor. It is the psychological law of projection. The human mind cannot perceive anything without filtering it through the architecture of its own history. Every judgment reveals a wound. Every resentment points to an unhealed self. And every person who triggers you is not your enemy, but your invitation. When you understand this, something in you softens. You stop personalizing the cruelty, and you stop idealizing the praise. You begin to see clearly, not through the eyes of your ego, but through the awareness of your being. This is the Jungian awakening, realizing that life itself is a hall of mirrors, reflecting the fragmented pieces of the collective psyche. Awareness breaks the spell. The moment you recognize projection, you reclaim power from it. And in that clarity, you finally see there was never an enemy, only mirrors asking to be understood. Next, we'll explore how to live with this awareness, to move through the world with compassion, without losing yourself in its reflections. Hatred is rarely personal. It is pain in disguise, the language of wounds too deep to name. When others project their shadows onto you, they're not defining your worth. They're revealing their struggle to face themselves. You are not meant to absorb that pain, only to understand it. Awareness does not require retaliation. Compassion does not mean surrender. It simply means you see clearly that what flows toward you is often born from what remains unresolved within them. Once you see the shadow, it can no longer deceive you. Awareness is protection. It allows you to stand still while others wrestle with their own reflections. So when the world grows cold, remember this: what you see in others exists in you. And that is how all healing begins. If this message resonated, share your thoughts below, or explore the next reflection on shadow integration and the path toward wholeness.